Live.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 72 of Kids Deserve It. We hope you've been enjoying our weekly chats with educators and game changers from around the country. Also, don't forget, you can check us out on iTunes.
And don't forget that we also have our brand new competition going on iTunes as well, where if you leave us a review on any Kids Deserve It episode or the podcast as a whole, you will get we select someone every Friday for an autographed book set.
And of course, don't forget our Kids Deserve It chat on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is a busy chat, and you are sure to meet some new people in your PLN. This week, we got another great guest, but first we want to introduce ourselves. I am Adam Welcome, Director of Innovation and Technology in the Bay Area of California.
I'm Todd Nesloni, Elementary School Principal in Navasota, Texas. And our guest this week is Simon Bailey. Simon, thank you so much for being here with us this week.
Great to be with you.
We also want to remind our viewers to participate on social media using the hashtag KidsDeserveIt, as we always like hearing the great things that stick out to you from the show.
So Simon, we have a few questions for you. So for those who don't know about you, tell us about yourself.
I grew up in Buffalo, New York. Mom and Dad dropped me off in Atlanta, Georgia 31 years ago and said, we don't have the money to send you back for your second year of college, nor do we have money to bring you back home to Buffalo, but we do love you. And I eventually did go back to school. I was just on the 10-year plan and finished my undergrad master's degree, moved to Orlando, Florida, went to work at the Mouse House, had a great experience there. And today my goal is to just unlock brilliance in leaders and anyone impacting students around the world. That's my goal.
Nice.
I love that. Well, you have quite the impressive resume and experiences that I was reading about and learning about, and some of the things you just talked about as well. What is something that you have been a part of that you are really proud of?
I was a part of the Disney Institute, and our team launched the Be Our Guest book that featured 18 case studies of organizations that came and studied how does Disney get 64,000 people on the same page, all singing It's a Small World After All. To be able to launch that book and feature those companies was really cool. It's a great honor.
Nice. So you also have a brand new book out. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, brand new book is called Releasing Leadership Brilliance, Breaking Sound Barriers in Education. It's written with a co-author by the name of Dr. Marcita Riley. And we have 22 case studies of principals all over the country and what they're doing to really break the sound barriers of education. And of course, Todd is one of those that's featured in the book. Thank you so much for that, sir.
No, thank you.
We've been sharing your story all over the country as to what you've done and just a real example of case studies, but also 12 tools that principals can use every single day in the school system.
I love that. So thinking about school and being in the school system, what was school like for you growing up?
Oh my goodness. So I went to a school where the teachers from time to time, this is back in the day, a Catholic school to be exact, they weren't afraid to introduce the Board of Education to my seat of understanding. So, right. But the truth be told, when I went to high school, I failed all of my classes my freshman year in high school, McKinley High School, air conditioning, refrigeration, sheet metal, plumbing, carpentry. And there were classes you had to take. And I went out for the football team and got cut. I went out for the basketball team. They said, you are not the next Magic Johnson. Out for track and field. And they said, you need to do cross country. So it was just a bad situation. And then my parents transferred me to another school, Bennett High School, my sophomore year. And that's where I met my English teacher, Miss Rita Lankus. And she said to me, young man, I want you to write a speech and give it before the entire school. And literally 30 years later, because of that teacher who saw something in me, I am the man that I am today because a teacher helped me find my brilliance.
Wow, I love that. And you remember her name too, man. That's amazing.
Oh, Miss Rita Lankus, she's the best.
Love it. So you also have a course on LinkedIn, Building Business Relationships. Can you tell us some more about that too?
Yeah, so funny story. A friend of mine in California said, hey, you need to meet the folks at lynda.com. I'd never heard of them. And they said, we'd like you to put a course. They said, what would you teach? I said, well, life is all about relationships. Relationships is the currency of the future. So that course has been viewed over 500,000 times by people in 100 countries. And we just did another course with them after a request that just went live a few months ago. So what we're learning in this micro learning movement that lynda.com is really the catalyst behind it, is how do we chunk learning down into a 5-minute chunk where you tell a story, you make a point, and you give it how to, rinse and repeat. And I love their model. It's a great platform.
Nice.
That's cool. So what is something that you are working on growing in this year?
Oh my goodness. So I am so excited because we're launching the whole Brilliant Living movement, where we're getting people all over the country to share what are they doing to live brilliantly. How are they taking ownership of their life and not waiting for anybody to do it for them? So we have stories that people have submitted that will just literally grab your heart. And so I'm deeply impacted by this, and it's pretty cool.
So where can people find information about that? Because I think that sounds amazing.
Yeah, just hashtag Brilliant Living 31.
Okay.
And follow it on Twitter and just kind of see what people are posting and sharing. And we've already shared some stories how one woman, she worked at a legal firm as a paralegal, left that and wanted to get into drag racing. And not only get into it, she won in less than 6 months and now has sponsors coming out of the woodworks because she realized that Brilliant Living was taking ownership and to create an awesome life. So we're excited.
That is amazing. I love that.
So Simon, you've talked about some teachers and that you've had growing up that really made a big impact in your life. Anyone else that has really just made a big impact that's helped you to get to where you are?
Yeah, when I really look back, I worked for a guy named Larry Lynch at Disney, and he and I, from time to time, we used to just go to blows. And I would write up a weekly report from my team because we reported up to him, and the report would eventually end up on maybe Michael Eisner's desk. And he would circle it and said, "That's too tactical. It's not strategic." And I would march in his office and close the door, and it was not a very pixie dusted conversation. You could hear us now. And I'm like, "Dude, you're trying to hold me back." And I really said, "You're trying to hold a black man back." And he said, "I'm not trying to hold you back." He said, "I'm trying to help you because one day you may be in this seat."
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, boom, there it is. And to this day, 15 years later, he and I are dear friends. In fact, we're on the phone tomorrow. And he really helped me understand that he was trying to get me more strategic. It had nothing to do with ethnicity, but it had everything to do with how I was thinking. So I'm forever grateful for that relationship.
Nice.
Well, Simon, one thing that I was impressed by when I met you is just your outlook on things and your positivity and your passion. But obviously, even when you have those kind of things lined up, you've got to have some days that are just rough days where you don't even want to get out of bed or you don't want to go to work or things like that. When you have those moments, what do you kind of do to kick your butt into gear?
You know what? 3 things. Number 1, I write down what I'm most grateful for. I think just kind of, if you think it, ink it. The second thing that I do is I look through, I have about 100 pages of emails that we received from people over the last 15 years on how they read a book or they saw a YouTube clip or they heard me speak somewhere and they did something and it changed their life. So it's almost like refueling my tank to realize that it's not about me, it's about we. And I think the third thing that I do is I realize that the future is created in the present. So I say, how do I let go of what's not working so I can let come what is working? And I do that through a series of affirmations, but I also will go on the treadmill for 30 minutes and let it go.
Nice. All right, Simon, every week we like our guests to leave a challenge for our viewers. What is your challenge for the week?
Here's the challenge. I want you to think about what is one thing that you can share with a student, a peer, a teacher, a principal that is right about them, and share it with them. Nice. Tell them why you're sharing it with them. Just find that one thing that makes them brilliant and share it. I think it becomes an emotional deposit into the emotional bank account that becomes a kaboom that they need.
Well, and I think that is such an easy challenge as well, but with great repercussions. So thank you, Simon. And thank you, Simon, for so much for being a guest this week on our show. I mean, I know you're busy, so we appreciate you making some time for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We want to remind our viewers that you can tweet us using the hashtag KidsDeserveIt, as well as encouraging you to go on iTunes and leave a review as we select a winner each Friday to receive an autographed book set. Make sure to leave your Twitter handle so we know how to get a hold of you. Don't forget to check out our Twitter chat on Wednesdays, as well as our next guest, who is going to be Adam DeVico. Everybody have a great evening.
Have a great night.